right, so the Christmas displays, those displays sell for a lot on eBay. I don't think I'd want a Christmas one. Right there, you can see the symbolism. That's exactly what you're going to get when you stop by. Zilch, zip, not a nothing. If I had to choose one of these three, it would probably be the train. I actually tried to buy one of these displays through China. I paid $60 and it never came. Hey, it's too good to be true. All right, Meets Koshi hit the first floor authorized dealer and service center here in Fukuoka. And what do they have? Nothing. Well, they have exhibition pieces. Now they have everything in terms of the exhibition models, including 2 of each GMT. I'm talking about the Pepsi, the Batman, the Sprite, 2 of each. So shouldn't they be selling one of those? All right, so the sales staff, a young guy, asked me as I was looking if he could help me with anything. He probably has to do that. And I said, well, do you have anything for sale? And he kind of sucked air through his teeth. And I said, no, right? So your question doesn't mean much, does it? And he kind of apologized and scurried off. It was pretty nice. Felt like I got a jab in there. So yeah, there you go. Nothing. Well, unless they're going to sell one of those, GMTs anytime soon. And I don't think they are. Well, here's a place where you can buy watches if you've got the money. First up, a GMT Master as opposed to a Master 2. That's me swooning because this is a Swiss-only dial. That's you swooning because a Swiss-only dial 16700 would be an awesome thing to have in the collection. This is a millimeter thinner than the 16710, which is my favorite GMT model. I don't know if that thinness is worth the lack of functionality and being able to separate the local hour hand and the 24-hour hand. This is a U serial from 1998. They finished up the 16700 with the A serial the year after this. Another disadvantage is this was never made in the Coke configuration, which is one I really like. Cokes were only ever made on the GMT Master 2. Speaking of, this is a Z serial from 2006, and assuming the bezel insert isn't replaced, and it kind of looks like a crimson insert, so it might be, but you can tell because it's got the thin font on the bezel insert. This is a P serial, which is from 2000. The only difference between that and the Coke you saw earlier would be this has a holes case. I'm not sure if this was born of Pepsi because this is a replacement insert. It should have a fat font serifed insert. By the way, the two prices just have to do with the warranty, whether it's 3 or 5 years. I'd definitely be going for the cheaper 3-year warranty because these are Rolex watches. Nothing's going to happen to them. Modern ceramic GMTs on Jubilee bracelets, and the Jubilee bracelets are the preferred bracelet among the Japanese. Apparently, you can see that the BLNR is a little bit cheaper. I wonder if that would change if tomorrow the BLNR was discontinued. I have a feeling that's the one on the chopping block. Kind of like this one. When this one got the axe, it all of a sudden spiked in popularity. People started appreciating it more. Before then, it was going for cheap. A solid Everose Gold root beer, beautiful watch, not too expensive considering it's totally precious metal. And look at this, this is actually cheaper than those 2 steel subs we saw earlier. I guess this is good buying if you like two-tone watches and you want some gold, but I much prefer the two-tone ceramic root beer. A couple of older discontinued oyster bracelet only BLNRs. I think the one on the right has the card, the one on the left doesn't. You can see the card makes a big difference in price, as it should, because these modern pieces, they should have the cards. The one on the left is 5 years older than the one on the right, so that could be a factor as well. A modern two-tone bluesy. Note the white writing on the dial and the thinner lugs. Compare that to the discontinued version on the left with the gold writing and the thicker lugs. I like the gold writing more. I like the thinner lugs more. I'd probably go with the one on the left aesthetically, though. The one on the right has a newer movement, and it uses ball bearings, so it's a noisier movement. You hear bag of marbles thrown around. That's a funny term. I actually kind of like it. Date subs, the most expensive being the ceramic piece on the right, the other 2 being pre-ceramic, and I really like the proportions of the ones on the left. Pre-ceramic 14060Ms, the one on the right, a random serial, so that would be the last of the last. Here's a closer look at it. It's got an engraved rehot, which is pretty special for a no-date pre-ceramic sub. The one on the left doesn't have that. I prefer it without, but of course, The one on the right, I think, is a little bit more rare, special. A couple of discontinued ceramic date subs. The one on the left is older, so it's cheaper. Generally speaking, in Japan, newer is always better. There is certainly a subset of people that appreciate the older aesthetic, but when you're talking the status symbol seeking, know nothing about watches kind of guy, they go for the newest, latest, and greatest. A couple of discontinued ceramic no date subs. It looks like the one on the right had some work done to it. The one on the left is a little newer, hence the higher price. Three discontinued 39mm Explorers, the one on the right a Mark II dial, the two on the left a Mark I dial, and then some older 36mm Explorers, which that's my favorite size, but I'd be going for the newer one, I think. And why would you even be thinking about an Explorer when you could go for a function-packed Explorer too, with a 24-hour hand and the date and the larger size? Now, this is a random serial. It would have the 3186 movement. This would be a cool one to have. This is the last of the last. A very, very special piece. The transition from the pre-ceramics to the ceramic. It's got the pre-ceramic case and the beautiful green anodized bezel insert, but it's got the maxi hands and the maxi dial. And I would love to have this piece, but it would live in the safe. There's no way I could wear this and enjoy it. It's such a historic piece. Here's another one, quite a bit more expensive. That's because it's an unworn virgin example. And these came out in 2007. They're known as the Kermits. You probably already knew that. But they're anniversary subs for the 50th anniversary of the sub. So you got that going on. You got this special bezel insert, and you got that transition aspect. So it's probably just one of the coolest Rolex watches, period, because of that. These are the modern versions and much more wearable. So, hey, have a Kermit in the safe, have a Cermit on your wrist. That would be an ideal solution. You probably noticed the one on the right is the Cermit. The one on the left is actually a Hulk. And it's going for more. That's a pretty popular piece here in Japan, but I'd be going for the one on the right. I prefer the black dial. Speaking of black dials, a couple black dial ceramic Daytonas. The one on the left is a little bit cheaper because it's 1 year older. I'd be going for the better condition piece or the cheaper piece, all else being equal. A couple of white dial pre-ceramic Daytonas. It looks like that one on the right has been serviced through RSC. You can see the card in the back. A pre-ceramic Sea Dweller. This is an M serial from 2008. Now, you might not know this, but post-millennium 16600s have the blue parachrome spring, so that's kind of a cool aspect. Now, mine doesn't, and if you needed proof, it doesn't get much more definitive than this. This is some footage I took right before I had mine overhauled, and it was the price of having a Swiss-only dial. But it's interesting because the 16600 got a lot of updates before the other models. For example, even though it's a Swiss-only dial that I have, it has a solid in-link bracelet. So anyway, I guess if you want the best of the 16600s and you're not all hung up on like a Swiss-only dial, I would get a later one. I'm not sure when the transition was, but around the turn of the millennium. Okay, a bit of a Sea Dweller tangent. Anyway, this would certainly have the blue parachrome spring. Here's the modern version of the Sea Dweller, and Sea Dweller is written in red, and it's grown to 43mm. A lot of people like that bigger size. For me, I think the 40mm size was the sweet spot. But if you like bigger watches, well, you can't get much bigger than this. Well, actually you can, but this is a 44mm James Cameron. Incredible dial. I mean, this is a legendary dial and very special. Of course, this is the same thing, but without that special dial. So I don't know why anybody would be going for this one unless they really just like the big size and they weren't into gradient dials. I mean, who the heck doesn't love gradient dials? All right, guys, more to come. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Let me know what pieces you liked. Take care, and I'll see you next time.